All right. So here we continue our session, our talk for today. So then fourth question is, what are the steps and support you offer in your coaching?
I think it comes down to three main things. When people start coaching, it's normally after they've hit a really low point. So their energy is drained, their life's just a mess.
Mm-hmm.
So, what I would encourage is a bit of self care to start with. Sorry, no, the first thing that I encourage when they hit that is support. So
Mm-hmm.
they know, find some level of support, whether it be through community or even just a friend, just checking in and telling their friend, look, I'm going through a rough time. So I need to check in with you for the next week. I'm going to need to call you like twice a day. So can you do that for me? And can you listen to me and can you hear me out?
Mm-hmm.
I know I don't need advice. I don't need this. I don't need that. I just need you to listen. Can you do that for me? So there's often that. I'm also there for my clients as well if they need that support, because when we dive in, we're diving into all the mud, all the dirt, all the messy stuff, and it brings up a lot. And for the rest of the week after that session, they're concentrating, they're thinking, and they're ruminating on stuff that's come up for them, and it can get quite heavy. So
Mm-hmm.
that's why I encourage after that is to really go for self-care. And for some men, you know, when I say self-care, they say that's not an option. I can't take a holiday. I can't take a day off work. I can't do this. I can't do that. So I try and simplify that and say,
Mm-hmm.
what can you do for yourself? Like, can you get yourself like a favorite food that you like? Can you have a nap? Can you go over our breathwork exercises? So what I'll do as well is I'll give them some breathwork exercises. I'm also a breathwork facilitator. So I'll
Oh,
write up some
okay, good.
programs for them.
Okay, great.
Good,
Hmm.
isn't it?
So I'm into Kundalini
um,
yoga, breath work, and Kriya. What's your forte? Like breath work
very
exactly.
similar. Very
Okay.
similar. So mine
Hmm.
was more of a breathwork facilitation course, but I'm also doing my yoga teacher training as well at the moment, which is covering
Okay.
all of those breathwork exercises as well. So I'll incorporate some of that. So I'll be there for like an emergency. If they're really not doing good, then I'll listen to them,
Mm-hmm.
run through some breathwork exercises, and that'll just calm their nervous system down, and then they can move forward with the rest of the week.
Mm-hmm.
So support, self-care, breathing. I think those are the key ones to start with. And then I'm opening up a yoga studio next month. So there's going to be a
Okay.
level of support for men as well. And
That's
from
excellent.
that,
Mm.
yeah, thank you.
Because I've got a similar offer to start a session for men here. So good.
Yeah,
I'm glad. Good luck with that.
yeah, thank you. Thank you. I think the more, when it comes to it, yoga is trauma informed. Everything that yoga teaches is basically trauma informed. All we've done in Western society is we've just westernized what yoga is,
Mm.
and just gone into the science of it, of what happens in the body. But the teachings, the philosophy, all that already is trauma informed. So that's why I'm incorporating that as well. So in that space, that's why I'm creating that community so that people can lean on each other. And for when we start opening up programs online as well, I want to have group calls so that these men see each other and can hear each other and can talk
Right.
to each other. So they're opening
Very
up that
interesting.
level of support too.
Hmm. And yeah, I just few observations from my side. I don't know. It might help you in the future. It's that men are still finding it very silly or taboo to talk about their emotional heaviness. So they're like, who's going to talk about this? That has to be changed, I believe, in most of the male collective. Yeah.
Yes. I think I think that comes down to leadership.
Hmm.
For instance, I'll give you an example. I also signed up to a gym. So I go to a gym and there's some big boys there. There's some big bodybuilders, and yeah,
Scary
and
people.
I go and before I do weight training, I actually run through some Surya Namaskar, or
Okay.
sun salutations. So I do a small sequence for myself, and they can all see it. They can all see me doing it, and I know that they're looking at me, and I know that I can feel that. I can feel all the eyes on me.
Hmm.
But what I've also noticed is I've only been there for a couple of weeks, and I've
Okay.
only really done that. Like I've only done a real slow or small flow, maybe twice. And then
Hmm.
yesterday I went to the gym and I went and started doing it, and I noticed that there were two other men that had started to do yoga. They started to do
Oh,
yoga as a warm
that's
up because, you know,
excellent
I
influence.
hadn't. Yeah, that I saw that they were watching me, and then they started to do that. So I think it's about one
Amazing.
person doing it, and then
Mm.
others will see, oh, it's okay. He looks different, but he's owning it. He's okay with that. So I'm going to do that. That looks cool. That looks different. So I think that's what it comes down to, is that the more men that start stepping up and owning who they are and doing things that they're not comfortable with, the more they're going to get used to it, and the more they're going to do it, and then other men are just going to follow as
And
well,
that
and then they're going to
makes
have their
that man
own.
stand out or makes that man different from
Yeah, yeah.
others. Yeah.
No
Interesting.
one notices the big bodybuilders over in the corner. No one really wants to pay attention because they've seen it all before, but they haven't seen the guy who's about to do weight training doing a yoga sequence for himself over in the corner in private. Like no one sees that. So that's different. Let's do that. Oh, okay. Let's try that tomorrow. So that's just an
Hmm.
example that people start to see he's doing that, and he's okay with himself. I'm going to do that for myself.
That's
So
excellent. I think more
yeah,
men need to own their selves first. Wow.
yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Okay. So, um, your advice, next question, your advice for men in India addressing Indian men when it comes to inner work, deprogramming, and healing themselves. Now that you are into yoga, yeah.
Yeah, I think what comes to mind is you can't meditate your way to becoming a healed masculine man.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Could you elaborate that?
yeah, absolutely. So when we meditate and when we do yoga, um, it feels good. It feels really good. We do the breath work, we do the meditation, we do all that, and it feels good. And that feeling of feeling good, we stick to that because it's safe. I can almost guarantee that there are men that can relate to this, that will be meditating and an uncomfortable emotion or thought will come up and we'll want to push it down.
Mm.
And then we'll keep
Correct.
meditating. It was like, it's okay, we'll push that down and we'll keep meditating. And once I've meditated, I'll be fine and I'll move on for the rest of the day.
Mm.
And that is bypassing your
Yeah, it's
trauma.
a kind of neglect or avoiding your own emotion, right?
Yeah, you're avoiding it. Now, there's nothing wrong with yoga or meditation. Like it's great. It's all introspective work. But when that introspection comes up, a lot of men avoid it. And that's the advice, is that when it comes up, to just have a curiosity around it. Like, what's this emotion, or what's this story that's coming up for me? You know, there's a big difference between meditating and really going into that meditation and just accepting everything that comes up. The body is so wise, it's going to bring stuff to the surface. And yeah, can you repeat that question for me again? Like advice around men and deprogramming, was it?
Deprogramming of all the old beliefs and healing, because deprogramming is something not many men easily accept, that what you have been taught in the religious thing is not
Yeah.
working anymore.
Yeah.
So it's hard.
So
I see that a lot. Like, it's so easy for me to observe this. It's very hard for men to let go of the religious programming. I think women are like a little quicker.
yes, you are. Yes, I agree. Us men,
Because
we'll
I've been
catch
doing
up.
this, and all the generational trauma, the sexual trauma, religious
Yeah.
programming. It's like women are like, yeah, exactly, yeah, like this. So they're fast.
Yeah. Yeah. And if I can speak to that, what I'm finding with polarity is that women present the information to the men,
Hmm.
and the men take action on that. You know,
Right.
these are like gifts. They're like, the woman is, or the feminine is so incredibly wise, and they come up with that. They present that information to the masculine, because the masculine is the action taker as well. So yeah, I just find that a very interesting dynamic with what you said. But deprogramming, I think it comes from really accepting all parts of yourself. You know, when you're in that deep meditation, to really go in, there are parts of you that you wish no human being knew about. You know, men are inherently very dark as well. You know, we come from generations of war and survival, and we have a lot of dark thoughts that come up, and we push that down. But if we can really, one of
That's
my
so true.
teachers,
That was so true that
yeah,
yes, a lot of those programming related to war also interferes these days for
yeah,
men.
yeah. My teacher uses a really nice analogy. So, as men, we have a lot of dark shame and a lot of dark thoughts that come up, things that we wish no one would ever know about. And what my teacher said to me was, shame is like a big ice block. If you keep it in a cool, isolated place, it's going to stay an ice block. If you start to push that ice block out into the sun, into the light, it's slowly going to start to melt. So I think that is
Perfect.
a lot of the deprogramming and inner work, is talking about and feeling all that dark stuff, all the shadows of ourselves that come up. And once we do that, and once we accept exactly who we are, what we've been through, what we may have done, that starts to melt away like the ice block. And then that no longer becomes our identity. You know, that's just something that we did, or that's just something that we went through. Yeah, I find that is one of the biggest things, is bringing all of yourself out into the light and really going in deep to a person that is not going to judge you. With I'll use 12-step as an example. 12-step was something that I did as well. and I don't really do it anymore because I think I've outgrown it. But the principles are very interesting. They have a step in there where you disclose everything that you have done in order that everything that you've ever done to hurt someone or to hurt yourself, everything like that, to another human being. And that's typically your sponsor. Your sponsor listens to everything that you've done. Sometimes they'll listen to you for hours on end. And at the end of it, you just feel so light because you're releasing that energy. The more you hold on to it, the heavier everything gets. I just released a video on that. Like, the more we don't acknowledge our trauma, the weights start to stack up, and then they become heavier and heavier, and then to the point where we can't lift it by ourselves anymore.
Yeah,
but
that point from yours, yeah, that was like perfect advice. So valuable. Like, well put.
I hope that's covered it. I feel like I went off on a bit of a tangent, but I hope that's covered it.
Yeah, it did. Like, I was listening and relating, like, okay, how this is going to help me if I start taking a batch for men pretty soon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great. So our last question for today. How can we accelerate this mass moment where we can help bringing out authenticity in men? You're already on it, I see.
Yeah.
But then how can we make it like a wildfire moment?
I think I don't think we can accelerate it. There's two parts to this. I think it's going to take as long as it's going to take. What I'm finding at the moment is we're currently in this big polarity war. I was talking with a friend about this the other day, and he calls it the pendulum effect. So right now, for the past few generations, it's been all toxic masculinity and men ruling over the planet. And now it's swinging toward feminism and women not needing men and women shaming men, and that doesn't help the men at all. So what happens eventually with a pendulum is it slowly starts to lose momentum and it eventually balances out. And that was his example, and I really like that one. Is the fact that, you know, we're going to be swinging back and forth a few more times before we really get to there. There's that, but there's also the example that I said at the gym. If, you know, one person starts doing it, other people see it, and they start to see it's okay to do it. That person who posted about his experience of crying in the car, there were so many men that commented on that. They're like, I've never heard of this before. This is so good to see. You know, thank you so much for sharing that. All it takes is one person in that area.
Kickstart the thing.
Yeah. Like, look at Steve Jobs. One person changed the entire planet forever. like changed the planet in its current state where it's at.
Yeah, technology, if we use well, it's just an amazing thing.
Yes, it's a blessing when used well. 100%. So I think it's a matter of just knowing that we're going to be in this place for a little bit longer, because there are a lot of people there are a lot of coaches and there are a lot of influencers online that throw around words and language like toxic masculinity, toxic femininity, that actually don't understand polarity. They throw it around and they blame the other person rather than coming together. What people don't understand is, you know, women are angry and they have every right to be. But what if one man was strong enough to hold all of that rage,
Mm.
what would the woman do? Right? I use, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, I use like Kali and Shiva as an example. You
Mm-hmm.
know, Shiva, what a man. You know,
But
you've
we
got
yet to
Kali.
find him in real life.
It's
So,
getting there. It's getting there.
I
But
had this
Kali is,
experience when I meditated. I had seen Shiva, and he's like nothing. But that the structure is like, I think I can live a lot of my moments again and again with just that feeling of his. So, yeah, beautiful.
yeah. It sounds like you felt that strength and that presence.
Yeah, very much.
Yeah.
So,
Um,
yeah, so
the,
go ahead. So, Kali and Shiva. Okay.
yeah, like Kali is this deity, this goddess, this wrathful, rageful, powerful, destructive woman, or this goddess. And Shiva is this strong man that no matter what Kali does, it does not bother him. He is completely unfazed.
Yeah.
And I'm not suggesting that men be abused. I'm not suggesting that men put themselves in the firing line of any kind of destructive behavior, but it's an example. Like, these
Right.
deities are an example of, if we as men held the woman in her rage, in her anger, in her sadness, then she would melt. She would feel
Absolutely.
safe.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
And collectively, I think it would just heal women very easily because then all that rage will be just accepted. And I think the goddess Kali power is like, okay, you've done this thing wrong. That's why I'm going to punish you. That's it. That's the whole, and it just goes like in a way of destruction. But then if the masculine accepts it, like, okay, I really have done this mess, I need to correct it.
yeah,
A lot of things can be solved right then and there. It doesn't have to even drag, I think.
yeah, yeah. I think just that acknowledgement and that, um, the word integrity comes up for me around that.
Mm.
Like, when it's presented, if the man doesn't agree with it, he doesn't have to, but at least communicate and try and see what it is that's going on there. But, just accepting, when they have done something wrong,
Yeah.
holding that integrity and going, yeah, you're right. I should take action on this. And that's another example of the feminine bringing something to the masculine and then him taking action on that as
Yeah.
well.
True.
But
And
that's
like you
usually
said, yeah, like you said, the pendulum swing that made me think like at this very moment, and then it becomes responsibility of teachers and coaches like you and me to really balance that out. Otherwise, it
yeah,
shouldn't be like you're just doing this male bashing thing and women keep going and again in the masculine way. We don't want that either. We don't want this, we
yeah,
don't want that. Let's just bring the pendulum to balance.
uh, yeah. Let's just break it down. I agree.
We can't
Um,
wait for another 200 years, 2000 years to get that, uh, yeah, to get
no,
another set of balance. So,
yeah,
why not do it
we
now?
have a
Just
lot
skip
more.
through rest of the
Yeah,
things.
yeah. I think we have a lot more tools accessible to us now.
Mm,
Um,
true.
Unfortunately, I don't know if you've heard of the influencer, Andrew Tate.
I saw his video just yesterday. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, your yeah, I could see by your body language it was like, ugh. but you know, that's an example of someone that he has good intentions toward men, but
Mm,
he has not healed himself. Like, to me, I see an unhealed boy,
mm,
projecting and blaming further onto women, and now we've got this following of men that want to go down that. So that's like, again, that's why the pendulum swings now going back the other way all over again.
right.
up until it's just going to happen a few more times, and then hopefully it just balances out. But yeah, that's
Yeah,
just
I
an
think.
example. You've got people that, yeah,
Yeah, the people like Andrew, if you mentioned, I think that's not gonna last for long because then how much can a person hate, right? You will get bored at one point of time. Like you really want that
yeah,
peace within. Yeah, I think
yeah.
that's
It's.
temporary.
I hope so. I hope so. And you know what? And the universe is about balance. In the end of the day, there are going to be Andrew Tates in the world. That's undeniable, unstoppable. And then there's going to be the people that want to make a healthier change and have a bit more balance.
Even
And
female
there's always,
coaches, I would consider even female coaches who are doing the same thing, the shadow one.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, because they're angry and they're also unhealed, just like Andrew Tate. He's angry and unhealed. Um, yeah, the more we heal, yeah, the more we can start to put our story aside and start to go in deeper. These people that are, this is all very surface layer what they're presenting, and people are very much superficial on the surface, so that's what they're taking in. But I think,
Right.
like we touched on, if there's a few people that have that higher level of awareness and consciousness that are leading the way, then people will follow. It takes just a small group of people. It doesn't take the mass collective. And in the end of the day, when we find that group of people, we're going to be happy in that group of people as well. We don't need to go outside into the masses as well. You know,
Right.
we can continue living happily because we're content because we found our community, we found our people as well, and we're just
Absolutely.
living the rest of that human experience in that.
Yeah. Excellent.
Hmm.
Very beautiful conversation. Thanks, Sean. You had so much to share that even I did not know. Although I was researching so much online, but yeah, thanks
Yeah.
for sharing your experiences. All
Thank you
right
for
then.
inviting me. That means a lot. Thank you.
And hope you be famous among men so that more people men can heal themselves. Yeah.
Yeah, as long as it reaches other people, I'm happy in the end. And in the
Absolutely.
end of the day, you know, we all want to be seen in some way, shape, or form. There's that ego
So true.
side, 100%. But in the end of the
No,
day,
but
it's
this
about.
is valuable. Yeah, so this has to
Yeah,
reach many people. Thank you. Thanks
I
for
hope
your
so.
time.
Thank you very much. Thanks for inviting me.
See you then.
Thank you.